Hello, my name is Bobby Mitchell, and today I will be talking to you about why Syrian Muslim refugees should be able to gain citizenship here in the United States. Now, this has been a very hot debate here in the past year or two, so I'm basically going to be breaking down to you why I believe Syrian Muslim refugees should have a chance to have citizenship here in the United States of America. Now, it's no secret that the U.S. has been taking refugees in since the 1980s, as the Refugee Act was passed back then. Now, Syrian Muslim refugees have since then fluctuated. As for an example, in between 1990 and 1995, the U.S. had taken in over 112,000 Syrian Muslims to flee the former Soviet Union. But ever since then, it's fluctuated, as after the events of 9/11, it lowered down to 22,000 in 2002. However, that number has since went up lately, especially due to current events. As of right now, since September of 2016, the U.S. has admitted over 84,000 refugees from Syria due to the war and Assad. With all that said, the U.S. alone has at least have over 3 million Syrian Muslim refugees ever since the Refugee Act of 1980. Now, that has since then, as well in current events, lowered again, as President Trump signed an executive order back in January to suspend any administration of Syrian Muslim refugees or refugees in general. Now, we all know why Syrian Muslim refugees come here to the United States, as they are fleeing their country from not only the war, but from ISIS and Assad. Also due to recent events, like, for instance, the gas and all that. But in any case, they are wanting to find a better lives for themselves, especially when they're homeless and their homes have been torn apart. Now, it's not just Syrian Muslim refugees that flee their country to come here. There's plenty of others too, and they do it for a better case of trying to start a new life, and because they're homeless and they lose their homes, and they think that coming here to the United States can help them start a better life, especially when it's got freedom of religion and all that other type of stuff. Now, it is understandable why we do fear Syrian Muslim populations, as there have been several incidents the past few years because of them, but mainly because of the 9/11 incident, which is probably the, if not the worst incident that ever happened in the United States, and is also the progenitor of why we are going to war with them in the first place. But that's the thing, these people are different, as they're trying to at least make a better life for themselves, and they're different than what ISIS and Assad and all these other terrorist groups are. Now, there has been some moments of crisis by the numbers when it comes to the Syrian refugee population, as it's estimated that the Syrians displaced are 12 million, whereas the ones that are registered by the UN already are 4,052,011. Mostly, it's 49.7% male, 50.3% female, and their age is usually in between 18 to 59 at the most. And at least out of all that, 1,873 have been admitted to the U.S. Now, our country isn't the only one that takes in the Syrian Muslim refugees, as it shows Germany is the #1 country that takes in all the refugees, whereas we are second, Canada third, and in Sweden fourth. And as you can see as well, the United Kingdom is the only country that takes the very least amount, if not any. Now, there are some parts of our country that do accept Muslim refugees, and some that don't, and some that still haven't decided yet. The ones that do are like Washington, Colorado, and Pennsylvania, whereas others that don't accept it is like our home state, Tennessee, Texas, Oklahoma, Illinois, and many others. And some that haven't even answered about it yet are like North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and New York. Now, why I think that the Syrian Muslim refugees should be granted citizenship is, as I stated before, they're just trying to make a better life for their families and all that. Like, I mean, if you think about it, they lost their home, like, they probably lost their loved ones from, like, not just the war, but I mean, from, like, ISIS and Assad, because I mean, you never judge a book by its cover, just because we see them as, Syrian Muslims and that they're basically probably the ones responsible for any other incident doesn't mean we have to quick judge them like that. They just want a safe haven away from everything, and they believe that our country is what could be their safe haven. Now, don't get me wrong, we have our fears and all that, and that is what will scare them away, is our fears. And don't get me wrong, I believe we should, whenever they do come in, have like a tighter security measure and do background checks and all that, and make sure like we don't have an incident or something. But we can't just turn these people away when they need help, as they desperately need help. And if we just send them back, I mean, then it's basically death for them. And the ones that are still waiting to be admitted into U.S. or at least granted a citizenship in the United States are staying in these refugee camps in the countries that are allowing them to stay in until further notice, or if they hear anything back from the UN about them becoming citizens of America and being able to stay in the country and all that. And it's sad to see this, what has become of them when they have to stay in this type of condition, as back home, they lost their home basically, and they had what they wanted, food, and all this stuff. I mean, they still do in these refugee camps, but it's not as hospitable as back home it was, as they lost everything and now they're trying to gain everything back by waiting here in these refugee camps. The point I'm trying to make across this is that we quick judge and we label them as soon as we see them. Like, because of the whole ISIS situation and Assad situation, we quickly label them as the bad guys and all that. All of them as the bad guys. But here's the thing though, they're not all bad guys, and that's the point, is that they're just, like I stated earlier, they're trying to make a better life for themselves. They're trying to do what's right for their kids and all that. I mean, these people are human beings. They're not like animals and all this other stuff, or cold, heartless people. Now, don't get me wrong, like the ones that become part members of ISIS and all this other stuff, yeah, they're obviously, the bad guys. But these people, like, they're human beings, for God's sake, and they just want our help and they need our help. And and I mean, since we've been known as a country that always gives hope to these people, then why do we need to stop now? And when they do arrive and they're granted like a citizenship or a right to stay, we shouldn't hate on them for it, as they're doing what's best for their family and for themselves, and we should try to respect that, as we should know what that feels like, as we at least try to do whatever it takes to make a living for our families or our friends or even ourselves, to try to make a better life. We live in a country that is supposed to be united, not divided by fear, because it's like what Franklin D. Roosevelt said: the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, and we shouldn't let fear ourselves, especially like our fears for these Syrian Muslim refugees. As if we, like I said, if we just tighten a bit of our security and do thorough background checks, then we shouldn't have a problem or incidents like we had with like the 9/11 incident or any other incident we've had over the years. These people deserve to at least have a chance in life, as we all do. Like, we are given that chance at life, whether you're working a job or joining the military, or even if you're going through medical issues. We all get a chance at life, and if we get that chance in life, why can't these people, as we shouldn't like be in fear of them for so long? And to give these guys their citizenship means that we are basically giving them their freedom to celebrate their own religion or do whatever they would like. Now, granted, some of them might want to keep their own religion, but there's some that might want to try something new, and they just, like I said, have a better life and see what happens and hope for the best and hope they have a better home or a better chance at life, so that way they can, like, their children and their children's children can live on. So in conclusion, I totally 100% believe that the U.S. should grant these Syrian Muslim refugees citizenship, as it would be a crime and a shame to just turn these people away if they are 100% innocent, and just take them back to where they came from and just leave them there to die, or leave them out there to die in general. Like, we shouldn't do that. It's our duty as Americans and as human beings to help others. And I truly 100% believe that we should help these people.